divinely revealed. 12 miraculous traits of reincarnated souls awaiting confirmation in your life. In the heart of a quaint English village, nestled among rolling hills, a divine mystery was unfolding. The air thrummed with an electric energy, whispering promises of hope and redemption. Margaret, a devoted churchgoer, understood that miracles were not just stories spoken. They were promises waiting to be claimed. Her faith was like the sturdy oaks surrounding her, deeply rooted and unwavering. Yet, her faith was about to be tested in ways she could never have imagined. Thomas, her only son, had fallen gravely ill. The village gathered in quiet circles, their hearts heavy with despair. Margaret knelt before the altar, candles flickering in the dim light. Each flame seemed to breathe her prayers, a chorus of devotion rising up like incense. "Saint Jude," she whispered, tears glistening, "I beseech you for a miracle." Then, in a flicker of light, a warmth enveloped her, the first touch of divine manifestation. A soft glow emanated from the altar, illuminating the room. The villagers gasped, sensing a presence unlike anything they had known. Nightly, Margaret gathered her neighbors for prayer, hearts unified in fervent hope. They lit candles, shared whispers of dreams, and watched the dance of the flames. Yet, amidst this holy gathering, skepticism slumbered on the edges. "It can't be that easy," murmured old Alice, squinting at the flames, her doubt palpable. Yet Margaret quelled the murmurs. She clung to faith like a lifeboat amid a storm. But as Thomas's illness intensified, darkness threatened to creep in, tempting her to doubt the path forward. Then, on a night thick with uncertainty, a vision struck Margaret, a vivid scene woven by threads of divine truth. In her dreams, she beheld Thomas, vibrant and healed, surrounded by 12 radiant traits. Each one shimmered like diamonds, promising purpose and rejuvenation, a sparkle of life reborn. Her heart raced as she woke, realization crashing in. This revelation illuminated not just Thomas's future, but unveiled the sacred journey of souls, echoing deeper understandings of reincarnation. Hope surged within her, every prayer infused with newfound urgency. The Sunday service approached with the weight of her faith on the altar, where the whispers of the congregation hung heavily in the air. The church, adorned with wildflowers and flickering candles, became a sacred sanctuary, gathering souls in one heavenly accord. Just as Margaret prepared for the moment, the air thickened with anticipation, and then, amidst the hymns and prayers, Thomas, glowing with health, rose from the pews, casting a divine light over the congregation. Gasps erupted, voices trembled with awe, disbelief fading like the morning mist. It was as if heaven itself had descended. "Look!" The miracle erupted from the back of the church like a grand symphony, restoring faith in the hearts of many. Yet, as joy enveloped the community, questions surged. What were these 12 traits that beckoned Margaret to unravel their significance? The villagers, inspired by the transformation, began their quest for understanding, navigating their own doubts in this renewed spiritual landscape. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the villagers delved deeper into this divine revelation, Margaret felt the stirring in her soul intensify. Could these 12 traits be the key to understanding the essence of spiritual rebirth? The air buzzed with promises and possibilities, leaving Margaret on the precipice of a profound truth. Embracing faith amid uncertainty, the question remained: would they accept the revelations awaiting them, or would doubt loom large once more? The journey had just begun, and the echoes of truth beckoned for further unveiling. As dawn broke over the village, bathing the quaint houses in soft golden light, an atmosphere of renewed hope lingered. Margaret stepped outside, breathing in the crisp, cool air. Her heart pulsed with a divine rhythm, each beat echoing the miracles of yesterday. The villagers had begun their own pilgrimage of faith. They gathered in the old stone church, an echo of whispered prayers weaving together like a tapestry, creating a symphony of yearning. As they shared stories of Thomas's miraculous recovery, an unquenchable curiosity grew. What were these 12 traits? What deeper truths did they carry? Margaret stood at the front of the church, her gaze sweeping over the eager faces before her. Each one held a spark of something: hope, belief, even that sweet twinge of doubt. She embraced them all, knowing that even the smallest flicker of faith could ignite a heavenly blaze. Friends, she spoke softly, let us seek the truth together. With candles lit and hands joined, they began to explore the 12 traits. One by one, they shared insights, each person illuminated by their encounters with the divine. The first person, young Mary, spoke of love. I felt love in Thomas's healing. It was pure and expansive, like nothing I've known. Indeed, love is a radiant trait, Margaret affirmed, her spirit soaring as thoughts connected. It expands our hearts, welcoming souls back into the fold. Old Mr. Jenkins, sitting near the back, hesitated but finally spoke. But what does love truly mean if not action? His voice rumbled, deep and thoughtful. The room fell silent, sensing a deep vein of wisdom. Margaret nodded, the weight of Mr. Jenkins's words resonating. That is the beauty of these traits. They are not just sentiments. They are calls to action, inviting us deeper into the essence of our existence. The congregation thrummed with understanding, sparking insight in the depths of their minds. Next, Arthur, a sprightly teenager, offered his thoughts on compassion. Compassion led us to pray for Thomas. We felt his pain and offered our own spirits to uplift him. He grinned, and the room seemed to brighten. I felt connected, like a web of souls united in purpose. Yes, Arthur, compassion binds our spirits. It nurtures and heals. Margaret felt embraced by the spirit of the village. Knowing they were on the cusp of transformation at AS, they continued unraveling each trait, a sense of urgency built. Humility was addressed by gentle Hannah. We must acknowledge our limits and the magnificence of God's plan. Each shared revelation added to the richness of their journey, a collective tapestry of understanding. But as they progressed through the traits, a shadow hovered in the air. With every new discovery came the soft whispers of doubt, lingering like fog. Old Alice, still skeptical, posed a question that hung like an unanswered prayer. Are these traits truly for us? Is our faith sufficient to merit such blessings? The room quieted, each heart palpably aware of the tension. Doubt could be a relentless companion, and the congregation pondered her words. It was Margaret who finally broke the silence, her voice firm yet filled with grace. Faith is not about being without doubt. It's about moving forward despite it. In that moment, something shifted. The flickering candles burned brighter, illuminating faces filled with resolve. They understood that faith was not the absence of fear, but the courage to believe. The gathering slowly began to disperse, but Margaret stayed behind. She sensed the divine presence enveloping her once more, an invitation to deeper understanding. What, Lord, lies beyond these traits? What must we uncover next? She whispered into the stillness. As she stepped out into the sunlight, a strange sensation washed over her, and knowing that the journey was far from over. The echoes of the past were whispering, guiding her toward the next chapter of divine revelation. And just then, a glimmer caught her eye, shining brightly from the church's oldest stained glass. Could it be a sign? Could the next revelation be intertwined with the history they had forged together? With a heart full of anticipation, she sensed something wonderful was yet to come. Margaret stood mesmerized, her heart fluttering with excitement and trepidation. The stained glass window, a masterpiece of colors, glimmered in the soft sunlight, casting a kaleidoscope of hues on the stone floor. Each color seemed to vibrate with its own life, whispering secrets, urging her closer. She approached it, captivated by its beauty and the stories it held. As she leaned in, the luminous image of a dove caught her eye. It was depicted with outstretched wings, a symbol of peace and the Holy Spirit. In that moment, Margaret felt her spirit lift, and an inexplicable calm washed over her. She closed her eyes and inhaled deeply, allowing the essence of the moment to fill her being. What message do you carry? She murmured to the beautiful figure. The soft rustling interrupted her thoughts. She opened her eyes to find that she was no longer alone. The church door creaked open, revealing Thomas, the young man whose healing had ignited their faith journey. His face was beaming, radiating light as if he were reflecting the very grace they had been discussing. "Margaret," he called with fervor. I felt something a pull towards the church. I had to come back. Her heart leapt to see him. "Thomas, your presence brings hope." He approached, his eyes shimmering with a mixture of joy and awe. "It's incredible," I assented. "I can feel the energy of everyone who prayed for me. I dreamed of a place filled with love and light. They were there, urging me to uncover the traits we've been discussing." A collective excitement began to crackle in the air as villagers, drawn by Thomas's return, consumed their former doubts with renewed curiosity. One by one, they trickled back, their faces lit by the glow of the stained glass, like moths drawn to a flame. Old Mr. Jenkins joined them, his furrowed brows softened by a smile. "Perhaps each trait we discussed is like a guiding light for our hearts," he suggested. "Could it be that we are meant to witness these traits in action through Thomas?" Thomas nodded earnestly, a spark of understanding igniting in him. "Yes, it's as if the traits were awakened within me during my recovery. Each day, I saw how love, compassion, and humility were ever present through all of you." The church began to fill with murmurs of agreement, voices intertwining like a joyous choir. Even Alice, her skepticism slowly melting away, spoke up with new fire. "Then let each of us embrace those traits. Let us be vessels of these virtues, living them out loud until they become a part of us." Margaret watched in awe as each villager started to share personal stories, moments from their lives where love had transformed a difficult situation or where humility had opened the door to healing. These reflections spiraled into a collective awakening, drawing them all closer together like a patchwork quilt. Yet deep inside, a flicker of worry surfaced in Margaret's heart. "But will our faith be enough?" she asked softly, voicing the question that echoed just beyond their newfound excitement. An unexpected hush fell over the room. The flickering candles dimmed momentarily, as if the sacred space itself paused for contemplation. Then, with a clarity that pierced the silence, Thomas answered, "Faith, my friends, is the spirit that emboldens us. It isn't about having all the answers. It's about courageously forging ahead together, trusting that the path is divine." As a wave of understanding washed over them, a lightness filled the air. They felt empowered, ready to step into the unknown, hand in hand, as open vessels for the 12 traits. Yet the urgency remained, a holy whisper tickling the edges of their hearts. Margaret sensed a new question forming, a question bigger than all of them. What challenges await us as we embody these traits? What trials must we face to affirm the miraculous life before us? Outside the church, the gentle breeze stirred, carrying hints of change. The villagers felt it beckoning. They could not merely wonder. They had to move forward, diving deeper into the divine mystery they were being called to embrace. And as Margaret looked into the horizon, she knew the answer would unfold soon. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, draping the world in a golden hue, the villagers' discussions began to circle around a singular unity, the determination to embody those 12 miraculous traits. Each heart beat with hope, a vibrant rhythm that pulsed through the church, reminding them they were not alone. Margaret felt a stirring within, a sense of something extraordinary stirring in the atmosphere. She looked at Thomas, who was now surrounded by an eager group, his hands animatedly expressing the wonders of his healing journey. Laughter and reflection merged, echoing against the stone walls, creating a soundscape of faith and renewal. "Together we can do so much more," Thomas exclaimed, his voice steady and filled with passion. "But we must first prepare our hearts for what lies ahead. Embracing these traits means inviting both light and darkness into our lives. The light brings joy, but the darkness may bring trials." Margaret's heart tightened. She knew he was right. The promise of renewal came with the weight of challenges. She exchanged glances with Alice, whose eyes were bright yet cautious. They shared a moment of understanding, a silent agreement that preparations were necessary. "Perhaps we could meet regularly," Alice suggested, her voice gathering momentum. "A place to pray and share our experiences, to lift one another as we navigate this path." a gathering that will ground us in faith as we interact with the world. If we are to be vessels, we need to ensure we are filled with the right spirit. The idea hung in the air, and the village folk began to nod in agreement, enthusiasm building like a wave. Mr. Jenkins raised his hand, and who better to lead us than Thomas? He has witnessed these traits in action. A buzz of excitement ignited within the congregation, filling Thomas's heart with both honor and humility. "I would be happy to help guide our discussions," he replied, gratitude washing over him. "Yet, I will need each of you. Let us draw strength from one another's journeys." Margaret's spirit soared, and as the discussions continued, she felt lighter, filled with a holy anticipation. The reality of what lay ahead began to lose its edge. It wasn't only about what they were about to face. It was also about what they would discover about themselves along the way. As they solidified their gathering plan, Margaret suggested a quiet retreat by the river, a place where they could connect with nature and each other. "The riverside will be our sacred space," she said, her voice tinged with emotion. "We can take refuge in the gentle flow of water, reminding us of the fluidity of faith and the resilience of our spirits." The villagers murmured their approval, their hearts swelling with a collective resolve born from shared faith. Here, in this humble church, Margaret sensed a divine energy gathering. She knew that they stood on the brink of something magnificent, but just then, the door creaked open again. A figure silhouetted against the fading light stepped in, a stranger, cloaked in a shadowy robe. Gasps filled the church, and Margaret's blood ran cold. She could feel a foreboding presence, a chill that skated down her spine. "Who are you?" Thomas called out, stepping forward. The stranger's voice, calm yet powerful, broke through the murmurs. "I am here to reveal the next step in your journey." Margaret's heart raced as the room held its breath, each soul leaning closer, drawn to the mysterious promise that loomed ahead. What revelation awaited them? What divine truths would unveil themselves through this unexpected visitor? And so the questions lingered in the air, heavy with anticipation, as the journey prepared to take yet another unforeseen turn. The stranger's presence enveloped the room like an uninvited breeze. His cloak swayed with every calculated step he took toward the altar, the fabric trailing behind him as if the very air bowed in reverence. The villagers exchanged glances, their expressions a tapestry of fear and curiosity. Who was this person, and what wisdom did he carry? "I come not to instill fear, but to illuminate the path before you," the stranger said, his voice steady and resonant. "You are on the cusp of an awakening, a transformation that will require you to lean into discomfort to discover the fullness of your purpose." Margaret's heart raced not from fear, but from a flicker of recognition. Deep down, she felt an ancient truth echo within her spirit. Thomas stepped closer, his face a mix of resolve and vulnerability. "What must we do?" he asked, his voice firm but tinged with hope. The stranger lowered his hood, revealing a visage that seemed simultaneously familiar and foreign. There was a luminescence in his eyes that stoked the fire of belief within each villager. "You must seek the 12 miraculous traits buried deep within you and nurture them. But be warned, the journey ahead will demand your unwavering courage and faith." The room buzzed with murmurs. Margaret leaned forward, drawn in by the gravity of his words. "What are these traits?" she whispered, her voice barely breaking the thick atmosphere of suspense. With a sweep of his hand, the stranger conjured images in the space between them, a vibrant tapestry of colors, each hue pulsing with life. Compassion, patience, humility, gratitude, wisdom, faith, courage, forgiveness, love, joy, kindness, and peace. Each trait a facet of the divine, waiting to be expressed through you. Margaret felt tears welling in her eyes as hope unfurled its wings within her heart. These traits weren't mere ideals. They were beacons of light that illuminated a path forward. "But how do we awaken them?" she asked, her voice trembling with eagerness. "Through experience and reflection," the stranger replied, his gaze scanning the faces surrounding him. "You will face trials that challenge each trait. Embrace them. Reflect upon what they teach you. In this acknowledgement, you will find liberation." Alice spoke up, her voice steady yet filled with wonder. "What if we stray? What if we fail to embody them?" The stranger smiled, a warmth radiating from him. filling the space with an almost tangible comfort. Failure is not the end, dear child. It is merely a step in your growth. Remember, the divine is patient and ever-present. Even in wandering, you are guided toward the light. A hush fell over the church, the air thick with a divine presence. Margaret felt a profound truth coalesce within her. They were not alone in this pursuit. We will rise together. We will learn together, she declared with newfound conviction. The stranger's eyes twinkled, and he took a step back, lifting his hands in a gesture of blessing. I leave you now, but rest assured, the journey has just begun. I will return when the time is right to answer your deepest questions. As the stranger began to fade, the villagers were flooded with new determination. They could feel it, the shift within their spirits, the awakening of traits just waiting to be nurtured. But just as quickly as he had appeared, the shadowy figure vanished, leaving behind an air of wonder wrapped in silence. The room crackled with a spiritual energy, each villager's heart ignited with purpose. Amidst the lingering aura of mystery, Thomas broke the stillness. Let us gather by the riverside as planned. We can explore these traits together, and perhaps seek divine guidance on how to manifest them fully. Margaret nodded, her spirit alight. The river would be their sacred ground, a place to connect with each other and themselves. As the villagers filed out of the church, each step felt lighter, buoyed by the promise of the unknown. But even as they exited, Margaret glanced back at the altar, feeling a pull, a profound question lingering like incense in the air. Would they truly embrace the calling that lay before them? And so, they stepped into the twilight, their hearts bursting with hope. Yet, in the shadows lingered a question too weighty to ignore. What trials awaited them, and how would they emerge transformed? The river sparkled like scattered diamonds beneath the thin veil of twilight. The air was laced with the hum of crickets, their song a gentle reminder of life's continuity. As the villagers gathered on the banks, Margaret felt a surge of gratitude swell within her. This was their sacred space now, a place where awakening would take form. Thomas was the first to step forward, his arms open wide. Here we are, together, he said, the words infused with a blend of excitement and trepidation. Let's begin this journey. Which trait shall we explore first? There's a beauty in starting at the beginning, Alice suggested, her eyes glimmering with inspiration. Compassion. It seems fitting, doesn't it? The group nodded, their hearts synchronizing with the idea. They took a seat on the cool grass, each facing the river, where the water flowed freely, an embodiment of compassion in nature. Margaret sensed that they were on the verge of something profound. She closed her eyes for a heartbeat, inviting the energy of the water, the trees, and the light above to wrap around her. Compassion starts with understanding, she whispered, barely above a breath. When we embrace another's pain, we extend our hearts. But how do we truly open ourselves to grasp the depths of compassion? By sharing our stories, Thomas replied, his voice steady. Our struggles, our joys, they form a bridge between us. As if invited by the conversation, a gentle breeze rustled the leaves, heightening their senses. One by one, the villagers began to share snippets of their lives, fears they clung to, the loss of loved ones, dreams yet to blossom. Margaret felt the heaviness lift as the weight of unspoken burdens flowed into the space around them. Tears mingled with laughter. Each story bore witness to their shared humanity. By understanding one another, they were creating a deep well of compassion. It was stirring work, but in the vulnerability emerged an overwhelming sense of connection, like threads weaving into a tapestry of hope. Alice, her voice trembling slightly, shared a tale of loneliness that had plagued her for years. I sometimes felt invisible, she admitted, looking deep into her friend's eyes. But hearing you all gives me strength. I know now that I'm not alone in my pain. Nor are any of us, Margaret responded, her heart resonating with shared truth. Let us remember, in our compassion for one another, we equip ourselves to weather any storm together. The river glimmered while their conversations unfurled, each moment carving new paths of understanding. Margaret felt a divine spark illuminating their place on the riverbank, a touching reminder that their stories mattered, and that each tale could spark transformation. As night deepened, the air swirled with warmth, and a sacred light pulsed within their hearts. They had begun to honor the first miraculous trait through understanding and connection. And as they turned to gaze at the stars emerging in the darkened sky, a wave of serenity washed over them. But then, a sudden chill swept through the air, dimming the warmth of their gathering. Margaret's eyes darted to the shadows beyond the trees. Was something watching them? The uncertainty loomed. "What's that?" she breathed, her voice quivering slightly. "What are we being called to face next?" Thomas whispered, sensing the shift in energy. It felt like an unspoken trial lingered in the shadows, waiting for them to venture deeper. They had begun their awakening, but what lay ahead? What truths were destined to unfold from the darkness? As the chilling feeling settled in, the stars twinkled above as if whispering secrets of challenges yet to come. Would they step forward into the unknown, ready to embrace whatever awaited them along their sacred journey? The shadows danced just beyond the light, their forms flickering in the twilight. Margaret felt a tightening in her chest, a mix of fear and anticipation. "We need to remain together," she urged, her voice steadying as she felt the weight of their collective presence. The bond forged by shared stories now felt like a shield. Thomas, sensing her resolve, nodded. "Together we can face whatever it is. Let us not let fear divide us." Alice gripped her hands tightly, her eyes reflecting both concern and courage. "Maybe it's not about what's watching us, but what we need to learn. Perhaps the darkness is here to teach us something important." Margaret looked at her friends, feeling the energy shift. "We just opened our hearts. Now, let us open our minds. What if this chill is a call to delve deeper into compassion? There's always more beneath the surface." As if prompted by her words, a gust of wind swirled around them, carrying whispers like hands through the air. The wispy rustle of the leaves seemed to echo their thoughts, reminding them of past struggles. It was as if the river itself was alive, urging them forward. "Let us close our eyes," Thomas suggested. "Let us listen," they obeyed, letting the world around them fade away. The water flowed like a river of sound, each gentle ripple harmonizing with their breath. In the stillness, Margaret felt a warmth blossom within. It pulsed like a heartbeat, resonating with the essence of the nights spent sharing stories. "Open your hearts and minds. As we did with our stories," she guided softly. "Embrace the darkness around us. It's only in facing these shadows that we may uncover the light." Suddenly, a beam of moonlight broke from behind a cloud, illuminating their faces. In that moment, Margaret felt a shift of deep understanding washing over her. The chill in the air evolved, shifting into something palpable. As she opened her eyes, her gaze fell upon Thomas and Alice, weighed down yet standing firm. "This isn't just fear. It's the unknown, our next lesson," she breathed, feeling the light urging them on. Thomas took a steadying breath. "Maybe we need to speak again. Share what we fear, what we hold back." So they did. One by one, they began to voice their worries and insecurities once more. This time, they spoke to the darkness that loomed, yarns of doubt and judgment, threatening to overshadow their shared journey. "My past is a labyrinth," Alice murmured, hands trembling. "I fear I'll lose myself again." Margaret reached out, squeezing her friend's hand. "But you're not just walking alone anymore. We're in this together. We will find the way out." As each confession filled the air, the chill began to subside, replaced by a warmth of understanding. Like a sunrise melting away fear, the villagers' voices intertwined, emerging from their hearts and flowing into the night. They were crafting a newfound strength to face whatever they might encounter. For every dark thought, an equal light manifested. Compassion was nurturing them anew, granting power to confront discomfort with courage. With the stars overhead twinkling brightly, Margaret felt an anchor deep within her spirit. The divine call was becoming clearer. "What if our next trait to explore is courage?" she proposed, their bond now fiercely ignited. Alice's worry faded momentarily, replaced by a glimmer of understanding. Courage isn't the absence of fear, but acting despite it. "Exactly," Thomas affirmed, a smile illuminating his face. "Let us dive in. Our journey doesn't end here." But as they stood uplifted by every word, the shadows seemed to pulse around them, dark yet inviting. What wisdom lay hidden within that darkness? What truths awaited? With hearts racing, they knew they were on the cusp of awakening something greater. Would they dare to venture into the unknown and face the courage lying hidden beneath the chill, just waiting to be revealed? The air around them began to shimmer, a gentle hum vibrating softly like the grand stirrings of the universe itself. They shared a knowing look, one of expectancy and resolve. Margaret folded her arms around herself, embracing both a protective warmth and an unfolding curiosity. This was a moment not to be taken lightly. Shadows were not mere threats. They were sacred teachers. "Let us take a step forward," she urged, heart pounding with the thrill of uncertainty. She led the way with tentative courage, Thomas and Alice close behind. As they moved deeper into the cool night, the whispers grew clearer, resonating within the depths of their souls. The darkness wasn't just a void. It held an intricate tapestry of thoughts and dreams woven together, each thread a story waiting to be uncovered. "Do you hear it?" Alice's voice quavered with awe. "It's like the world is speaking differently." "It is," Thomas exclaimed, eyes wide. "It's almost as if the night is calling to us." Margaret paused to let a breeze wash over her. "Hear the rhythm, the symphony of the unseen. We are not lost. We are being guided." In that moment, their minds opened further. They transcended their fears, moving towards a collective understanding. Thoughts began to connect like tributaries merging into a river, each one carrying its own significance, yet heading toward the same purpose. "Courage," Margaret breathed, the word a prayer on her lips. "It's more than just facing fears. It's choosing hope. It's trusting the unknown." A soft light flickered from their center, palpable now, illuminating the shadows that surrounded them as if scattering fog. They stood in a sanctuary of muted mirth, where uncertainty transformed into presence. The mingled hues of courage and light cocooned them, igniting hearts and igniting minds. "Look," Thomas pointed. Before them lay a winding path that hadn't been visible before, a path cloaked in mystery and potential. The shadows held secrets, waiting for those brave enough to uncover them. "Every step we take can be an act of faith," Alice whispered, her eyes sparkling. "What if the darkness teaches us about trusting in each other?" "Exactly," Margaret agreed, filled with warmth. "In unity, we find strength. Let us explore this path together. Let us allow these shadows to show us the way." And so they stepped forward, their feet paving the way into the unknown. Flickers of light danced just ahead, each one revealing glimpses of vibrant life, shimmering like soft promises between the dark. They felt liberated from their burdens, buoyed by the certainty of each other's presence. With each step, invisible chains broke free, the air shimmering with an undeniable energy. They were glimpsing beyond the veil, and each heartbeat resonated like an echo of divine purpose. "Courage will take us where we need to go," Margaret said, feeling a spark grow within her. What if courage means being vulnerable enough to ask for help, to reveal truths we still hide? Or, perhaps, it means leaning on one another when we stumble? Thomas added, an encouraging smile breaking through. The shadows next to them morphed into shapes, figures of their past, both burdens and blessings alike. It was a haunting yet beautiful sight. There, lingering within those shadows, were shadows of doubt, of choices left unmade, each speaking of trials that distilled lessons painfully learned. Together, they breathed in, inhaling the essence of growth, exhaling out the residue of fear. It was a rhythm, a sacred act of faith. As the last words echoed into the night, a haunting silence enveloped them. They stood at the threshold of the journey, hearts intertwined. What awaited them on this illuminated path? Could they truly unveil the lessons lurking in the shadows, allowing that knowledge to guide their tomorrow? Margaret, Thomas, and Alice exchanged glances filled with an insatiable curiosity and determination. It wouldn't be easy, but what transformation awaited them on the other side? They stood poised, eager to step bravely into a new horizon, diving headlong into the limitless mystery that awaited. Just beyond the known. Are we ready to discover the treasurable truths wrapped in shadows? Margaret wondered aloud, the gentle pulse in her heart quickening with each word. In unison, they took another step forward, but what awaited them ahead? The path ahead beckoned with whispers, each step weighed down by anticipation. Margaret led, Thomas and Alice flanking her, each a thread in this woven tapestry of light and shadow. The secret shimmer of illuminated possibilities danced just out of reach, but they felt its warmth enfolding them like a soft embrace. Do you feel that? Alice's voice trembled slightly, an echo of wonder mingled with uncertainty. It's as if the air is charged with energy, alive with purpose. Yes, Thomas affirmed, casting a glance back at the silhouettes formed by the encroaching shadows. It's like the night is breathing with us, inviting us to discover what lies ahead. As they ventured further, the shadows morphed into intricate patterns, swirling and intertwining around them, vivid reminders of their own histories. Moments of joy, sorrow, triumph, and struggle. Margaret could almost hear the echoes of her past mingling with the murmurs of those around her, each life interlocked in an unbreakable bond. "Look closely," she whispered, her heart racing. "These shapes their stories. Each shadow holds a lesson for us." With cautious intrigue, they examined the dark forms. Some were daunting representations of fears they had fought, while others were luminous visions of possibility that beckoned like distant stars. Margaret's heart swelled with gratitude as she realized that every trial had been a stepping stone, leading them here, to this moment of potential and promise. "That's it," Thomas said, his voice steadying. "Every shadow reveals something about who we are. What if embracing these shadows is where our true strength lies?" "Exactly," Alice exclaimed. "It's as if we're being invited to reclaim our stories, to find beauty in our struggles. Maybe the darkness was always meant to guide us closer to the light." As they moved deeper, the shadows seemed to pulse with an inviting glow, revealing paths that branched out like new beginnings. A warmth radiated from within Margaret, igniting sparks of determination. What treasures lay ahead? What lessons were waiting to unfurl? "It's about connection," Margaret said, a knowing gleam in her eye. "We learn from each other. Our shadows blend, and when we embrace those shadows, we're embracing our fullest selves." They came upon a clearing, a circle bathed in ethereal light. At its center glowed a radiant orb, a manifestation of their collective courage. It flickered with each heartbeat, a reminder that they were never alone. Margaret took a deep breath, inhaling the very essence of hope. "Let us take a moment," she suggested, "to reflect on our journey, to lift our spirits and seek understanding." As they closed their eyes, silence enveloped them, creating space for the divine to whisper gently into their hearts. In that sacred stillness, they felt the presence of something greater, a profound love wrapping around them, filling the empty spaces with promise and reassurance. The burdens they carried transformed into gifts of clarity. What if they could emerge from the shadows transformed, not just for themselves, but as light for others? The thought pulsed through them like a resonance of truth, igniting their souls with fervor. Margaret opened her eyes, surrounded by energy that felt almost tangible. "We are on the brink of something monumental," she said, her words resolute. "We are meant to share these revelations, to touch the hearts of those still lost in shadow." Her companions nodded in unison, an unspoken bond deepening between them, shimmering brightly like the light they now gathered. Together, Thomas declared, summoning the courage within, "We will step into this new dawn. Whatever comes next, let it be a reflection of our faith." As they prepared to step back onto the path, a question lingered in the air, charged with potential. What deeper truths awaited them in the shadowy depths beyond, ready to be revealed and shared? Together, they crossed the threshold, the whispering shadows beckoning them forth, guiding them toward an unfathomable journey of transformation and renewal. What awaited them beyond this next bend? What unseen hand of divine mercy would lead the way? The air was thick with anticipation as the trio Margaret, Thomas, and Alice stepped into the circle of light that glowed from within the clearing. Their hearts were brimming with both trepidation and hope, the glowing orb pulsating softly, as if in rhythm with their spirits. Here was a sacred moment, an invitation from the divine, calling them to embrace this journey of transformation. What lies beyond this light? Alice pondered, her eyes shimmering with curiosity. Margaret gently placed her hand on the orb, feeling its warmth radiate through her palm. "Each of us has been on a path that has prepared us for this. This is our collective courage." As she spoke, the orb shimmered brighter, illuminating the clearing like a sunrise breaking the night's hold. An overwhelming sensation washed over them, a mix of comfort and strength as they prepared to witness the next chapter of their journey. "Let South draw close," Thomas encouraged, taking a few steps forward, his resolve hardening with each passing moment. Together, we can unlock its power. With a steadied breath, they formed a circle, each holding hands, creating a living tapestry of support. The orb trembled just slightly, its light entwining with the energy of hope they collectively offered. What do we need to learn? Margaret whispered into the silence, the weight of her question hanging in the air in the stillness. A rush of memories flooded the clearing. Vivid images cascaded like falling leaves, scenes of struggle, joy, and newfound purpose unfurling before their eyes. They saw faces of those they had touched and those who had touched them. Margaret gasped, recognizing a pivotal moment. These are our experiences, our stories intertwined. We are not just bearers of burdens. We are a chorus of resilience. The others nodded in understanding, their hearts beating with a renewed sense of purpose. With each shared memory, the orb pulsed more fiercely, releasing waves of energy that wrapped around them like a comforting blanket. Could our next trait be gratitude? Thomas suggested, a tone of revelation cutting through the air. These memories, even the painful ones, offer lessons wrapped in grace, each a gift. Margaret's heart soared, realizing that indeed gratitude was the key that opened their hearts to the possibilities that lay ahead. Let us thank the journey and its lessons, even those that brought us pain. Gratitude makes space for growth. One by one, they shared what they were grateful for, the words pouring from their hearts with a sweet sincerity. Alice spoke of her community, the friendships formed through shared struggles. I never knew how much I needed you until I felt the warmth of your compassion. Thomas added, grateful for the strength that grows in the face of shadows. The orb glimmered even brighter, each expression forming a thread that connected them to something larger, something divine. As they delved deeper into gratitude, the boundaries of their individual selves began to dissolve. This is what the 12 traits are about, Margaret realized. Each one is interwoven, a call to love, to serve, to be vessels of light in a world that needs it most. The energy in the clearing erupted into a blinding flash, cascading colors swirling around them like colorful petals caught in the wind. Each villager felt the divine pulses in their hearts, urging them to embrace the whole of their experiences, be they light or dark. Together, we are more than our individual journeys, Thomas proclaimed, his voice steady, echoing in the vastness of the night. We are one community, one beacon shining brightly for those still lost in shadow. With this collective intention, the orb expanded, and suddenly, each villager saw their purpose reflected in its brilliance. They understood the calls to action, to embody their faith, invite compassion, radiate love, hold humility, and cherish gratitude. The 12 traits began to reveal the intricate map of their new purpose. As the light settled into a gentle glow, a sense of clarity washed over them. We will bring this to the village, Margaret declared. Fervently, we will touch the hearts of those yearning for hope. And at that moment, they felt an unbreakable bond, a promise between them and the divine. Each step forward would be a step toward a shared destiny, filled with challenges that would only serve to deepen their faith. Margaret smiled, tears of joy glistening in her eyes. Together, we will face this journey. We'll lift each other, teach one another, and be the light in the world. As they gathered their strength and prepared to return to their village, the air buzzed with a new fervor. It was no longer just about facing darkness. It was about walking boldly into the light together. They began to move, arms linked, hearts united, stepping away from the clearing with renewed vigor and purpose. They would carry the 12 traits like a torch, guiding others toward healing, shining brighter with each shared experience. There was a sense of urgency within them, a call to action resonating in their souls. They were not merely a group of villagers, but messengers of transformation, each one marked by the miraculous journey that had brought them to this very moment. As they emerged from the shadows, the horizon stretched before them, a canvas filled with divine possibilities. They looked toward the sunrise, ready to embrace the light of a new day, filled with expectation and a powerful sense of divine destiny. In that moment, their voices unified in a joyous declaration, echoing the truth they had discovered together. We are the light. We are the 12. And so, their journey continued, intertwined, divine and miraculous, each day a testament to the power of faith, resilience, and love. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to follow the unfolding of our faith stories. The next chapters are waiting to brighten your spirit. Don't miss out. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread this divine message of hope. Comment below with your thoughts and testimonies about this journey. Your voice matters. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. Show the world the power of transformation and faith. This is the moment to show your support and join us as we shine. Don't wait even one more second to share.